Hello, and thank you for joining us today. Today we have an interesting guest with us on our show today. Joseph Magnifico is an emergency medical technician. Joseph, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So I have some questions for you. When did you start working as an EMT?
I took the class in last spring. The pandemic kind of dragged it on. I got certified late that fall. I got hired in late November. I was cleared from training in, I would say, middle of January. So January.
Yeah, wow, it seems like a pretty exhaustive process to become an EMT.
It's not as bad as I just made it sound. I think the pandemic made it drag on because it was hard to get the practical and the practical test done, which is a one-on-one test where you have to do stuff like how to do CPR, how to suction a patient, how to apply a tourniquet, how to apply a stint. But yeah, less than other things though.
Well, what do you think is the most challenging aspect of being an EMT?
Well, being new, it's a job that it's not forgiving to new people. Everyone that's new makes mistakes, and it's very, you take it really personal when you make a mistake. So and then one of the person who's trained me said, this job is like drinking from a fire hose for the first few months, and it's very true. It still is true.
That seems pretty rough. Well, we have some roll-in video here, so let's take a look at Joseph.
Every day, everywhere, people need help. And that's what we're here for. I don't know, I'm new. I've been doing this since late winter, midwinter. This is my first job in EMS, so it's not like an easy thing to go into. I also work for a pretty busy station. I mean, I've worked shifts like at Sunday nights where for the majority of the time just sitting there, then all of a sudden you get a call and they're like, oh, you gotta take it up to 10.
That was great to discuss your job and your experiences. Now, sometimes you are in difficult situations where it can be hard to assess exactly what's going on. And it can all be seemingly, or not seemingly, it can be really graphic and uncomfortable. Does this make it hard to do the job over again?
The job gets serious. All of a sudden, you could be really relaxed, and then all of a sudden you get a call, and you're like, well, I need to really focus. I need to have my A game. In terms of wanting to do it again, I think a certain type of person does this job, and I hope to be that type of person one day. But it is a thrill, and it's almost addicting in a certain way. Just to that you never know what you're gonna do when you come into work, and that's something that I really look for in a job, especially because I've had plenty of other jobs where I am bored and I know exactly what I'm gonna do that day. And while I might be nervous going into work and maybe a bit afraid, you can't have it both ways. You can't have a job where you know exactly what's going to happen and you're entertained. But I am always entertained, but I am always you know, and the flip side of that is it can be an anxious job.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my answer.
Well, it's really fascinating to hear your perspective about being an EMT. Let's take a look at another roll-in video. This one depicts Joseph's journey.
On my job, like, you see people's life get real, and then you get to be there for them, with them, you get to help them through it.
911, what's your emergency? Numbers, no problem.
It really keeps things in perspective, how fortunate I am to be where I am. This is the first job that I've had where I want to do my best, and I've had a lot of jobs where I've done, I don't really even, like, I don't care about it, but this job is different. The accountability, it starts and it stops at me. First of all, if I mess up at this job, the first thing in my mind is not, oh, what's my boss gonna think? A lot of people in EMS think that when it's a full moon that things are crazier and people get crazier. I don't know if that's true. I think it's pretty crazy regardless. We're here to do the job regardless.
Wow, that was a really great roll-in video there. Are there any I wanted to ask you, is there any are there any aspects of your personal life that you draw from to help you while you're on the job?
Can you define like aspects?
Like, are there any traits that you find in yourself, or
I understand.
like certain parts of your life that you bring to this job that help you?
Well, it's hard for me to say because at my job I meet a wide range of personalities, people that are exactly like me. I would say that I'm a bit disorganized. Sometimes I can be a bit chaotic. And while that job kind of emulates that kind of environment, sometimes I have had plenty of partners who are really organized and they're really type A personalities. So I can't say that any specific aspects help me in this job. I think that that comes down to the individual. And yes, everyone brings their own thing to the table. It's very good working with people that complement you rather than accentuate you. Because a lot of times, if I work with someone who is a lot like me, perhaps we aren't as complete of a team as we should be. If that makes any sense.
I think, it definitely has to be difficult because you're working in like such a chaotic environment, and you kind of have to almost stand strong as like the opposite of that. You have to be the kind of, here's where we're going, this is the next step where everything's going crazy.
Learning to talk slow is something that I really am working on because that's something that's very useful for making other people calm.
Yeah. Talking
slow and having very calm mannerisms is very important.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. Do you think that some people use this job as an escape to from something in their personal lives?
That's speaking outside of my bounds, but I will say is that when you're working, a lot of times you're focused on only the things that are right in front of you in your job. So you could, I guess, forget about whatever your home life is or whatever you have outside of this job for at least a brief moment.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure too that there's got to be, it has to have its rewarding moments. When you are able to help someone, like truly help someone from getting or from furthering their injuries or even from passing away. I'm sure that coming off that kind of day is definitely rewarding in that sense.
Yeah, there are plenty of days when you do something good and you feel good. and it really it travels over to even the next day even if you don't have work, which feels nice. And or maybe you have a whole good week because of the first few things you did in the beginning of the week.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have some footage of the tools you use on the job. So when they come up here, could you tell us more about the details, kind of which each one is used for and its importance?
Okay. You always have information to write down. That's my notebook. It's waterproof.
Mm-hmm.
It takes. Okay, it's going fast. Cutting. Cause a lot of times you need to cut clothes off people to assess them.
Yeah.
Sunglasses look cool. Also, it's bright sometimes.
Yeah. I'm sure while you're driving too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's, you don't want to have a glare. I also have an Apple Watch.
Yeah.
Which I probably should have mentioned, and a stethoscope and a blood pressure cuff.
Mm-hmm. And you carry these just all day? Like these are kind of your...
I usually sometimes I leave the stethoscope in my car, but yeah everything else.
Okay.
No, stethoscope in the ambulance. I apologize.
Yeah. Well, that's all the time we have for our show today. Thank you for coming in to be our guest, Joseph Magnifico.
Yeah.
And I'll see you next time, and goodbye.
Thank you, Lucas.
Yeah.